Hello, everyone. Welcome to Creativity-Hive's weekly program. I'm Miriam Haugen, and I'm part of the Creativity-Hive team. We help videographers achieve massive post-production skills through one-on-one teaching and live group coaching. And our weekly hangout brings you people working in various aspects of the industry from across the globe. Today, we are going to be diving into audio, and we have Brian. I'm going to slaughter your last name. How do you say your last name, Brian?
Lupiya. Literally how
Lupiya.
it's
I mean, it's
spelled. Yeah,
just
Lupiya.
exactly the
Literally,
way
yeah.
it looks.
Lupiya, yeah.
But I was afraid I just realized I never asked you how to say it.
Yeah, no, Lupiya, Brian Lupiya. That's it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you're from Cape Town, South Africa, right?
Johannesburg, actually.
Johannesburg.
Yes, yeah. So I'm in
Okay.
Joburg. Yeah. Originally from Zambia, but I've been living here for many years.
Okay. Well, tell us
Yeah.
about your background. What are you doing
Um.
now, and how did you get to where you're at?
Okay, so I work for Turk Music Technologies. I'm sitting in our showroom studio right now. I am a marketing manager, brand ambassador, product specialist, and salesman here at Turk Music Technologies. I started here in 2019, but my relationship with them started way before that, actually. Started in 2013, I believe, where I was endorsed. I was a Korg endorsed artist. So I was playing Korg pianos at all my shows and things like that. So that's how my relationship with them began. And after I was done with my marketing, I started working here. And yeah, that's how I found myself here. I do have a musical background or creative background. My father's been teaching music for almost 25 years, 26 years now. And yeah, so that's where my creative bone comes from.
All right.
So yeah, yeah.
All right. I'm going to bring Mo and Neil on here, and we can just
Hello,
have a quick chat.
Brian.
How's it going? How's it
I'm
going,
good.
Neil?
Good. Good.
Mo?
Excellent.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
Nice to meet you too, Neil.
All that fun audio gear there,
Yeah.
What's that? I
Before
didn't catch
we,
that last bit.
and see all that fun audio gear there.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of nice stuff.
So Brian, in a nutshell, what your job is to play with cool toys, right?
I guess so. You could say that, but it's not as easy as it seems. But it is fun, I must admit.
Right.
So yeah, my job is to play with all these cool toys, show them off to people, and convince people that these are the toys they need to make their lives easier. Guys that are in the creative industry, um, guys that are doing podcasts, live streams, recording in home studios, pro studios, wherever it is. I'm the guy that sort of covers that entire range of products. So I guess my job is fun to most people.
You had
um,
mentioned that you were a Korg specialist, and your shows, something about shows. That's what kind of
so
caught my attention. Yeah.
yeah, so I used to play in a band, and I was I was noticed by somebody from a company called Sony BMG, Sony here in South Africa. One of their artists was opening for One Direction when they were doing their around the world tour, around the
Hmm.
world again or something. Yeah, back in 2014, I think. And they needed a pianist for the band for the guy that was opening for One Direction. And so I was called in and I auditioned and they picked me. And because I was playing for such a big show, Turk Music offered to endorse me with Korg, and they said please play these keyboards on the big stages so they can be seen and all that stuff. And that's pretty much how the relationship sort of started. Yeah, if you look on my YouTube channel, there's early videos that I used to post. It was mostly Korg pianos and Korg synths and synthesizer workstations and that sort of thing. And that's how I got into it. Yeah. So I learned piano
Okay.
from my dad. Yeah, from my father since he was a music teacher. Yeah.
And ever since you still doing live stuff, or has that pretty much stopped?
Well, after COVID, I mean, ever since COVID, I remember we were going into like a hard lockdown, and we were told, okay, guys, it's gonna be 2 weeks hard lockdown. Let's get these 12 infections sorted, and then everybody can come back. And
Right.
I remember taking a bunch of stuff home, so I can do videos from home.
Yeah.
So I took a lot of different recording packs and things like that, so I can do some really cool content for those 2 weeks. And 5-6 months later, we were still at home. I must confess, my boss and I were still fulfilling orders and stuff like that. You know, putting stuff in the boot of the car, meeting people at the pick and pay. Here's your order. Just to keep business rolling.
Really?
Yeah.
You do what you
had
have
yeah.
to do.
Drive.
We were bootlegging. So it stopped. All the live stuff pretty much came to a halt at that time.
Right.
And then live streaming became more of a thing, especially here in SA. Before, I mean, live streaming has been a thing for a long time, but it was brought to the fore by COVID. A lot of people thought, wow, we need to be able to speak to our clients. We need to be able to perform to our fans. How do we do that? Then that conversation began, and then people started to realize, oh snap, there's this thing, there's that thing I could use. I could connect this to my phone and get good sound and da da da. And DJs were doing DJ sets from home, and it just boomed. And obviously, we've got the tech. We couldn't just be closed the whole time, so we got a special permit as people that provide products in the ICT sector. ICT, yeah. And so we got the permits, and my boss and I would drive around and deliver stuff to radio stations and yada yada yada. And that's how we sort of pushed into this.
This was
new
the
field.
owner of Turk Music, yes?
Yes, Peter Turk, the owner. Yeah.
Okay,
That
so
sounds like COVID might have actually been a benefit to Turk Music.
I think it was.
Yes.
We were well positioned actually for it. We didn't realize it, but we were
Right.
well positioned because a lot of the music stores do a lot of guitars and keyboards and things like that, drums and stuff like that. We were more focused on high tech, like studio gear and audio interfaces, microphones, the software and stuff like that. So we've got a guitar wall that's very small, very few guitars there. So when this thing hit, our warehouse was full of the stuff that people needed for this period where we were all at home, locked down, and trying to see how we can reach out to people through YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. So we did pretty well that year of 2020.
Well, there's something I'd like to share with viewers. I'm just going to share my screen.
Yeah.
And this was, I think, a while back, Brian, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys can see. And here's Brian. Here's Brian in action.
That's great.
And as we can see, Brian stopping midstream all the time to read the instruction manuals.
Yeah, to make sure I'm building the thing correctly.
Just to let you guys know, this video is sponsored by Turk Music Technologies. If you want more information about them,
Look at that pixelated image.
That's Brian in 2014. Brian, 17 or 14?
Probably 2014. I think it was
I think
very
so.
early days.
This was before Brian became very wealthy and started eating a lot. Nice.
That's
and
before I was married. Once you
Oh,
get
I
married,
see. Okay, so it was the marriage thing.
it was the
Okay.
marriage.
I see. So this is Brian. So instead of doing that, we're gonna get Brian to do something in a bit. So that's just a little snippet into where you came from, and a
Yeah.
great video, very very interesting. So
I
what
was
do
the
you
only
have?
one. I was the only one in the country at the time with that keyboard. I was the first
Wow,
one to touch it, first one ever.
that's
So that
fantastic.
was pretty cool.
But now you have a whole showroom full of cool stuff,
That's
and
it. Yeah.
the floor is yours. Do you want to show us anything cool, or tell us about
Um.
anything cool? And
Yeah. Well, since you guys do a lot of video production and things like that, I'm only sort of getting into it. You've seen my YouTube
yeah,
videos. They're not that great. I'm just getting into
they're
video and
lovely, they're awesome. Your
trying to
lighting is
trying to
is
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, trying to get into that space. But I've always been into like the audio stuff. I've had a home studio for the longest time. My brother and I we actually had a duo called FTL. We used to do like dance music long, long time ago.
Mhm.
And so my space has been this. Um, so I have a few things here, and my passion also has been the more entry level to intermediate. So people that are just trying to get into it, trying to improve their sound and trying to get better results and stuff like that. That's where sort of my passion is. And we've got a lot of products across different brands that sort of meet those needs, and they're all around me here. I'm just going to pick on a few that are mainly relevant to what's going on now and how things are done now. So streaming, um, not with anything fancy, just with your cell phone. And if you want to get good sound, we've got something called the iRig Stream. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah.
This device, I think we had like 48 of them when we went into lockdown, and nobody was buying them. We had these for a while. Nobody was buying them. Nobody was interested. And then lockdown happened, and then all of a sudden, people needed a way to get good audio into their phones, right? So they could go live on Instagram and sound good, go live on Facebook and sound great. And people didn't know how to get that done. And these products now came into play. I think the video I did on this one has the most views on my channel. I think
Okay.
15,000 or something like that. Um,
Wow.
because people were so into streaming and trying to improve their audio. So this is called the iRig Stream. It's literally just a little interface that you can connect to your phone, either via Lightning if you're using an iPhone, or
Right.
USB-C, or USB Type A to a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So you plug this into your phone, and then it uses this as the interface to take audio from whatever source you're using. So if you're sitting in a situation like this where you've got a bunch of gear plugged in and whatever, and you want to stream to Instagram or Facebook or whatever, you take the
Mm-hmm.
outputs on your device, on your audio interface, and you send them into the iRig Stream, and then that sends the audio into your phone, and then you've got great audio going into your stream, and people are there listening to you, and you sound nice and clear, nice and clean. And that's where everything started, with this little device. And since then they've brought out a number of different iterations. So they only had this one, then they brought out the iRig Stream Solo, which is a cheaper version of this, slightly cheaper version. So this will be the middle guy, and then the really big one for guys that want to do some complicated stuff,
Mm-hmm.
bring in plug in a microphone and a keyboard and then a mixer and whatever, all into your phone. This big guy is the one that does the job. So that's
Okay.
that's for mobile streaming and stuff like that. So very, very cool. There's so many more products besides these ones, but I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to highlight these specific ones.
Right.
And then when it comes to your corporates and people that are doing meetings on Teams all day on Zoom, you want to get some lighting so you look better, and maybe a lapel microphone so you sound better in your meetings. That's where IK Multimedia came up with this little package. It's called the iRig Video Creator Bundle. So it comes with a little tripod stand, right, which will hold your cell phone, and then a lapel microphone that'll connect into your phone, and then a little ring light, so you get some good lighting. And you can control that using a little remote, so you can turn the camera on and off and stuff like that. Literally, corporates, people in corporate, and people that had to do webinars at home, meetings at home, and stuff like that, ended up having to use little devices like this. And they actually had to learn stuff about, like, basic stuff about audio, um, to improve the experience, because they were stuck at home. And people haven't not everybody's gone back to work. I'm sure a lot of people are still working from home. My wife still works from home. So these devices didn't sort of suddenly go out of fashion again. They're still, pretty hot, little gadgets. Then for guys that are creating, like myself, you not everybody has a DSLR camera and can afford that sort of thing. But with just your cell phone, you can do so many things. Just your cell phone, and these devices are able to connect to your cell phone and improve your content creation. Here's a shotgun mic. This is something that you would find, being connected to like a DSLR camera or something like that. This one connects straight to your phone and improves
Okay.
your audio just like that, instantly. Boom. So you plug that in. Wherever you point, it captures. Got very nice rejection, so you're not catching too much room effect and things like that. And yeah, literally on the go, plug this in. It's got a little magnet and a metal piece that you stick to the back of your phone, so it just like plop, sticks on and it
Wow.
stays there. So it's
Wow.
pretty
That's
smart.
awesome.
Yeah. So shotgun microphone for your cell phone.
Okay. So, just in case there are people listening that don't know the benefits of a shotgun microphone, you kind of glossed
Yes.
over it really fast. So,
Yeah.
why a shotgun microphone? What does it do? And why is it good?
So it's a shotgun microphone is directional, right? So wherever you're pointing is where it's picking up the most sound, and wherever you're not pointing is where it's rejecting. So you've got a very narrow, uh, pickup pattern in a shotgun microphone. That's why they work so well with video cameras and things like that. A lot of people would see, the Rode NT1 something, sitting on top of the microphone, and it's long and it's pointing, and wherever it's pointing and the person is speaking, you actually hear them quite clearly, because it's a directional
Right.
microphone, so it doesn't pick up too much ambient noise and everything on the outside. It does pick up a little bit, but it's got quite nice rejection, so you get a nice clear audio when you're recording. So if you're working at home, if you're recording a video at home, it's perfect, because you're not going to pick up the dogs outside and birds and things like
The
that.
airplane going overhead.
Airplanes and the garbage truck picking up the garbage and whatever. So and those are some of the things that people had to try and um work around, because they're
So
working from
yes.
home. So there's a lot of things going on. The kids in the other room, babies crying and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they had to find ways to sort of improve the situation. And for us who couldn't come to studios like this, we had to make a plan. Yeah.
So you find the trend currently now is miniaturization, to accommodate those that are, I wouldn't say forced into working from home, but you can see that not only COVID was an accelerator to a lot of things,
That's
and
it.
in
Yeah.
the audio in the creative industry, whether it's audio, video, etc., it shrunk down so that people are beginning to create the same sort of high value and level content as
Yeah.
a $10 million studio is creating, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying that 10 million because I'm using that number because they've got these huge surfaces, they've got these huge 200 channel desks, etc. But what
Hmm.
I've noticed, and I've seen this for a while, and I've been saying this to Miriam and Neil for quite a while actually, is that all these high-end end results can actually be created or recreated with a minimal setup. And the industry didn't really take notice of that. They said, no, you need an Area Alexa, and you need this, and you need that. But what I've seen is guys are shooting a full feature film on an iPhone 12 or 13. They're getting sound from a Rode a microphone. some sort of wireless kit. They're not going into any sort of huge gear in post production, and that's have you seen that in the audio arena where you could actually record a full album, mix and master it with a minimal setup? Have you seen that sort of, or do you feel it's going in that direction?
Definitely. I mean, I've seen it. I've actually seen it, and I've helped people set up, miniature versions of their pro studio,
Yeah.
where, because there's actually a guy who has a very, very nice studio out in Rivonia, which is a very sort of like fancy area, expensive area for like rentals and things like that. And he wasn't paying his rent during the hard lockdown because he wasn't making any money,
Mhm.
and his gear got locked up. The landlords were like, "Look, we're gonna have to lock up your gear, and we're not gonna release it until you pay at least half of what you owe," and all these things. And he had to downscale and move his setup to his home, and that's where he was servicing his clients and things like that. So he had to buy gear that would be as good as that huge desk that he has at his studio and things like that. And there's so many products. Like, I mean, there's this is a Vault Universal Audio Vault One. It's an audio interface. It's a two-channel audio interface. This interface has the same um, mic preamps as some of their high-end interfaces,
Okay.
and this one doesn't even cost. It's not a fraction of the price of the big ones, and you're able to buy this from a shop. It comes with some software. You can actually take it home, plug it in, install the software quickly, and you're ready to go. So that trend of not only being able to produce that $1 million type of a product
Mm,
um, with a small setup is more real now than it ever was.
yeah.
Presonus and SE Electronics and Native Instruments and Audient, they're all creating stuff that can plug into stuff that can do studio quality type of productions, but at a very low budget, and they're not compromising on quality either. And I think it's not just COVID that's done that, but even technology has made it possible. So back then, where making expensive products meant using expensive components to get the quality that you need, but now, because of technology and the chips that are being developed and all these different components that are inside these devices, people don't actually need to spend that much to build something that's going to be of good
Right.
quality. That's
Right.
literally where it's going. And I mean, this little guy, this is called the AudioBox Go. It's a tiny little interface, small, and this interface can handle a microphone like this. The standard from Universal Audio. It's a dynamic microphone which requires a lot of gain. It needs a lot of volume.
Right.
And a lot of interfaces, when you crank up the volume of your input, it cranks up the noise as well. So you get like this sound. But this little guy can handle something this powerful. You plug it in, you can turn it up to about 50 dBs and not get that much noise in it,
That's
which
amazing.
is very impressive for something that costs
Small. Yeah. And
so little.
yeah.
It's less than $100, I think.
Okay.
So
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 that
it's all
trend
it's
is that
all
trend is
changing. Yeah.
definitely, yeah, it's all changing. We're getting to that point where um you don't have to break the bank to be able to express yourself with quality gear. You don't
And
have to
and
break the
and,
bank,
and
not
do you
anymore.
feel in 2022, which is the age of the VSTs and AAXs and VST3s? I call it that age because everyone's creating VSTs, right?
Hmm.
From Native Instrument stuff to Contact to Massive. I'm just using any Native Instruments as an example.
Yeah.
The guys that are producing albums they have the luxury of hiring a band or musos, etc. But I see a lot of people, you might call it digital music, but it's actually going away from that term digital, where you can actually create an album. We're talking music specifically, sitting in your room and being a producer. The only thing additional you would need is the vocals, which naturally always has to be live. Um, is that another trend that you're seeing where artists are moving away from the electronic age and moving into another electronic age, but which is much more realistic sounding?
That's right. That's right. That's actually, this has been a long time coming. Um, with native instruments specifically, the VSTs that are coming out now, the sample rate of these things
Same.
is so high that it doesn't sound like a digital,
Yeah.
you know, piano. It sounds so real. They're capturing um nuances like the sustained pedal going up and down. You can actually hear that in your VST. How the piano would sound if the lid was halfway opened or fully open or completely closed.
Yes.
It's crazy how close they're getting to the real thing. And so, not to say that analog is dying, but man, the things that are coming out, the digital versions of these analog and outboard gear that have existed for so long, is becoming very, very, very good, very, very close. The only thing that keeps analog sort of alive and maybe preferred for some of the guys doing some of the high end stuff is that analog is not perfect. If you know what
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah. Sure.
there's certain
The
colorations and things that are,
nuances, yeah, are
yeah,
there.
there's certain things
Yeah.
that your specific piece of gear will do to the
Right.
sound,
Right.
that somebody else with the same piece of gear won't do. But if it's a digital one, I mean, there's no room for, it's so perfect. It does what it does so perfectly. And
Yes.
even, I mean, with a piece of outboard gear, if you're gonna maybe push up the gain to sort of get like a distorted, grungy sound, because you can do that. It's a knob there. You can push it up and do stuff to the signal to distort it and come up with some weird sound that you can use in your music. With a digital one, if you push it, it gets to the point where the program says that if it goes above this
Right.
point, you
Yeah.
maybe cut
That's it.
out or something like that. And
Yes.
you actually can't do
Oh
that. You can't
no.
manipulate it to do such stuff,
Right.
because it's
You
digital.
can't
It's
distort.
told, yeah. You can't
Yeah.
do those crazy things. It's told that if the signal goes above this point, then it just cuts out. There's like no sound. But if it was a real piece of gear, it's not gonna cut out. It has to try and
Yeah. Sure.
work it out and see. So
That's
you
a
get
really
you
great
get to
point.
make
Yeah.
really amazing. You get to make really amazing, really unique pieces of audio and things like that.
Is that
But
is
with
that
this,
art form beginning to die off though? Because not too many people are going out there and playing a violin, and you're hearing that string do
mm,
this. But
mm,
they go in, they load in a VST, they go in and load in a contact instrument. It's recorded in Abbey Road Studios. It's done to
yeah,
perfection. It's got an overhead mic, left mic, right mic, rear mic, condenser mic, near field mic. So there's so many iterations on the multis or the
yeah.
one shots. So the question is that a dying art form, or do you see it as something that will be there later on down the years, in 10 years or 5 years, for maybe if movie scores are different because they hire out a whole orchestra, etc. Hans Zimmer's, Hans Zimmer kind of thing. But when it comes to people producing, are we becoming, like you mentioned, there's so much software can do. Are we becoming a sterile creative generation? Is the question.
You know, you could say yes and no. There's an argument for both sides, but I think what I'd say is I love the fact that a guy like me who doesn't have the money to hire out a full orchestra can still create something close enough to a real orchestra, especially if you have like some, knowledge of music theory and you understand where the viola is positioned and where the cello is positioned and where, the double bass comes in. You can create using these VSTs. You can never replace a real instrument. That's just impossible. You can never do that. But somebody like me who can't afford to hire the Joburg Symphony Orchestra, for example, that doesn't stop me from, you know, creating a movie score. at home on Ableton or on Studio One, which is that's the beauty of it. Then there's the purists and the people that just say, look, I need to get a guitarist in to play these lines. I'm not going to
Yes.
do it on my keyboard.
Yeah.
Those guys will never disappear. You will always have purists that'll say, if it's not a real guitar or if it's not a real piano, I don't want to hear about it. I've had people in this studio who've been playing piano for many years who only play on acoustic grand pianos and whatever, who've played on this keyboard and listened to plugins like Noir from Native Instruments, and I've gone, wow, this is so close to the real thing.
Sure. Yes.
And what people do is with the real acoustic grand pianos and things like that, they put all kinds of things on the strings like paper or cloth or felt or whatever to get different sounds out of it. And VSTs have managed to capture even those types of things.
Wow.
So I can't say it's dying, although it is, unfortunately, because the world is moving, technology is moving forward. So you'll get people that will argue and say, no, I'm a purist and I will never. Well, okay, that's fine, but you can actually, just using your computer and even your computer keyboard, not even a controller, create stuff that will sound almost as real as a real thing.
Well, where we see it in the post. I'm sorry, Nick.
There's a jazz pianist that a while back, and I don't remember who it was. I don't remember the name. Not one of the big known ones, but a jazz pianist that tours with a lot of performers now, who for his first 15 or 20 years of career always insisted on having at least a baby grand, a full grand for all of the concerts he was in. But after getting some experience with an outfit like what you're talking about, where he had a full-size keyboard that was really well connected up with proper plugins and everything, so he could control what kind of sounds he was getting out. He realized that especially when you're dealing with something that's going to be amplified in an arena or in any kind of a decent-sized venue, that what he was getting out of that electric thing was indistinguishable to someone in the audience from having the full piano. And that full piano required an awful lot of effort and work and some physical risk by a lot of people to get the damn thing and get it tuned up and everything. And this thing put in a box and haul around and set up in 5 minutes. And at that point, he doesn't perform with the real pianos anymore.
Yeah, see.
Being in the post-production field, from in the visual movie industries and visual effects and so forth, the one place that this sort of digital age is beginning to shine is in sound design. Now, prior to this, it was Foley, right? Which Foley is still there. I mean, it's a dying art form, no matter how you look at it. And the VSTs have come in and said, we're going to recreate the sound of footsteps and give you several iterations of it, hallway, plank, and a cement floor. So the sound design is starting to flourish for the guys that do it from a home studio. Whereas before you'd have to sit on a Foley stage and click, clock, with all sorts of stuff. And it's a really beautiful art form. And I wish it didn't have to die. However, it's now really starting to plummet downward due to the fact that it can be recreated on your controller very simply.
That's right.
And all the manufacturers and the software producers have jumped on that bandwagon. As you can see, every day there's probably 100 different VSTs being released online. It's just a plethora of stuff. So when we do kind of sound design, it's much more versatile and easier for us to sit in front of a controller than to actually go out into a field, because the nuances don't fluctuate that much. So if there's a little bit more reverb needed, or it's a little bit of echo, or the plate needs to be a little bit deeper on the reverb, it's right there in front of you. So you're just sitting there. You've got a play out screen. You're not sitting there with any clip cloppers. And I think that's where, for us, it's so much easier now. But back to you. I see you have a keyboard in front of you, right? So Miriam, Brian's crazy on the keyboard. He's completely he's off the hook. I mean, he's done some. I've seen a few of his clips, and it was really inspiring. Do you want to go ahead and show us something maybe
Okay,
from?
I want to just break in because you
Yeah,
just
sure.
gave me a perfect segue. Now, this is a really awful long link in there, but in the comments, hopefully you'll see it. We have a whole series of like 10 sound effects that we're giving away for free that that Mo put together. And anyway, if you go to the form and fill out the form, then we can just send you those audio files. So, and it's horror sound effects like footsteps and lightning strikes.
Yeah.
And fun
All
stuff.
created just all
Now,
created
okay, let's hear
digital.
what do we got going?
So
Yeah.
So you want?
We'd love to hear
So
something.
you're putting Brian on the
It's-
spot here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know I do this kind of thing, Brian. I'm sorry, I should have warned
Yeah.
you before. But
and so the way I've set things up here, I've got two audio interfaces. My microphone's going into this SSL2 solid state logic little audio interface, because it's a very gain heavy dynamic microphone. This has a 4K and a high Z and whatever, and this thing is coming through a Studio Live 16R rack mount mixer, which is sitting here. So now the two are not
talking to it.
You know, my computer is using this audio, that audio is, so it's not. So even when I play, I mean, I don't think you would even be able to hear it.
So you're saying you're a high tech guy, but you can't manage the tech.
No. So, Mo,
it would take a little while to like reconnect things so that you hear the piano coming through there instead of coming through.
We can hear something. Could you just play some keys? Yeah, we hear it.
Turn the mic down. Point the mic down.
Maybe let me point the mic to the speakers.
There we go. Point to the speakers.
We do this all the time, Brian. You're not the first.
Let's see. Okay, let's see. It's 10 minutes.
That was nice.
It's so
Pull it off, Brian. That was really nice.
You could hear it just fine. Hey.
Yes.
Yeah, that worked out well.
That microphone's the clipping limit is spot on. It's great.
Is it? Yeah, that's great.
Watching somebody do this in this day and age where you don't really get to watch this sort of stuff unless you go to a concert or some sort of thing. It always brings a smile to my face personally, and I guess also Miriam's and Neil's, because it's creativity in its extreme, in its pure form, and it gives you goosebumps because it's beautiful. And this is why I hope it never dies, that art form, because watching someone play live on a piano or even a keyboard is something you can never recreate. Yes, our AI is coming in and they'll play a whole chord for you and they'll play everything for you, but watching someone and the expression on the person's face when they're doing it, enjoying just the pure love of playing the music is
Yeah.
something that I hope lives on forever. So
Yeah.
I really thank you for that piece. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was just awesome. So we'd like to know a little bit more about when you're not in your studio, right? So you're married. You said you're married, right? You have
Yes.
kids, yes.
Yes, I do. I do have a
Uh,
9-year-old daughter.
what
Ooh.
is it, what are your hobbies? I mean, do you
What's your
just
daughter's name? We need to hear the name.
My daughter's name is Malika. Malika means um, princess
wow?
in
Oh.
Hindi. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. She's great.
We're all
So
about the
so
little ones here.
what do you we love little ones. What do you guys do? I mean, in your spare time, beside because you're surrounded by tech all the time, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do. So to unwind, I know this is unwinding, playing stuff. It's really kind of a tension buster. But
Yeah.
beside that, is there anything you do, like maybe jump out of planes, go diving with
Oh,
sharks?
I
No.
would love to go skydiving. Actually, I have never been, but I would really love to go. I'm not afraid of heights. I love
Of
heights.
course.
I love the thrill of being high up in the air. So I'd love to go skydiving. But my wife and I, we very outdoorsy. We like going, you know, for hikes and things like that, bush breaks and stuff like that. Um, uh, on a Saturday afternoon or the Saturday morning, we go to church. So we're at church for most of the morning,
Okay.
and then it's lunch, and then we go to the park. You know, be out in the open air. Um, you know, let my daughter run around and play with other people. Um, we love bush breaks, going out into Pumalanga and Ermelo and all these nice safari lodges out there in the bush. We love Cape Town. Mo, you live in Cape Town.
Yes,
We
yes, you should. You're
absolutely
going to
love
see
Cape
me when
Town.
you get here. Absolutely.
Yeah, we were there now in December. Last year in December we were there. We're probably gonna go there next year again.
Fantastic.
So we love the ocean. We love Cape Town. We did Table Mountain over and over. We went down to Cape of Good Hope. We love it. We love traveling. We love all that stuff. But
And you also in
unwinding, I
a
mean,
church. You also in a church band, right? That's what you've told me.
yes, yeah. So
So this is pretty interesting, Maria Manil, because Brian had a gig tonight with not the gig, but a session with the church band, which he pushed to be on the show. What do you do in the band? Are you also on the keyboard?
so with the church thing, it's our praise and worship team, right? We have different people every week, so we shuffle it around every week. So sometimes I'll be singing on the stage,
Singing? Did you just say
singing
singing?
tenor. Yeah, yeah,
Really? Oh, you should not have
yeah.
said
Oh, watch
singing. You
out.
should
He's
not
going to
have
have you
said
sing
singing.
next.
No, you're not getting off. You're not getting off that easily. So, presenting Brian Lupiya, the tenor. You got to do it, Brian. You got to do it.
I I will maybe later on in the show, towards the end, so that people stay to the
Well,
end.
hopefully we are towards the end. Actually,
Are
we
we?
should, we need to be kind of wrapping
We
things
st-
up here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I sing sometimes on the stage. Sometimes I'm playing at the piano. Sometimes I'm behind the scenes. Switching the lyrics so that the guys don't get lost. Um, yeah, and our music director Chad um, is always doing very interesting, cool things. I'll drop a link maybe for you guys
Yeah.
so you can check out our past services. Just
Mhm.
we usually sing in the beginning, so you can just quickly browse through it and see. Yeah, that's what I do at church. And then I've got a band called the Black Jackets. We are a 4-piece band. I play keys and sing vocals. We've got a guitarist, a bassist, and a percussionist. My younger brother actually plays percussion in
Okay.
the band. So the whole family is pretty musical. I do have a younger sister. Her name is Indigo Stella.
Wow, that's a
I'll
nice
send you a
name.
link so you can check her out. She's a rapper, very interestingly so.
Oh,
She's a
that would be
rapper.
Wow.
She
interesting.
actually
Okay.
she taught herself how to create music on FL Studio. I'm sure you know FL Studio.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so she's been doing that, and she's doing pretty well. So we're all this big musical family.
And she's based in South Africa as well.
She's based here in Joburg. Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. But you're still not off the hook, right? So, Let's hear that tenor. Come on. And now let's see how your microphone handles this. I want to see it.
I'm just okay. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let me do this. Can you hear the piano?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I don't even know what to sing.
It could be a Jay-Z song, it could be anything. It doesn't matter.
Okay. All right, you put me on the spot. Let me try something. Okay. Okay. We're just ordinary people. We don't know which way to go. 'Cause we're ordinary people. Maybe we should take it slow. Take it slow. Oh, oh, oh. This time we'll take it slow. Take it slow. Oh, oh, oh. This time we'll take it slow.
You made my day. Absolutely.
Just a short little.
How amazing is this guy? I mean,
That is great.
Thank you
it's
so much.
fantastic.
All
So yeah,
right.
that's John Legend's actually one of my favorite artists. So
Yeah, he's
figured
great.
that would be a safe bet.
Safe bet. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, Brian. Really, we're going to talk a little bit more about stuff when we end at the end.
Yeah.
After the show, but it's been really interesting and fantastic having you.
Thank you
Right.
so much, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank
It's
you.
been really, really awesome. Yeah, I'd love to
Thank
come
you,
back
thank you.
some other time. Yeah.
That would
Yes,
be
hang
great.
around. We want you to come back with your sister and your family.
Ooh,
maybe
well.
we'll do something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
All right. That is great. So we'll see you all next time, guys. I almost did the